Time to talk some RIVERSPORT Adventures with Mike Knopp, Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation. Good to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Dave.
Cold weather outside.
Chilly day,
It's
yes.
a chilly day.
Yeah, I don't know if people are thinking about water sports today.
A lot on tap ahead over in the next few months before we dive into the season, and some things to talk about regarding the Olympics, which start later this week. But before we get into that, what is happening right now on the grounds out there at the Boathouse District? I know you guys are working on the bike track.
Yes, we've got a lot of little projects, winter projects in play. In the Whitewater Center, they've been, not today, but been power washing the channels, getting them all cleaned up. It's, we're actually going to be doing something unique or a little different this year. We're taking one of our channels, a recreational channel, reconfiguring it a bit. We'll have more information on that in the in coming months that are going to, and so we're going to introduce what we call duckies into the mix.
What is that?
They're like big inflatable single person or double person kayaks. So you can have like a single person rafting experience and go down that channel. And so we're going to tune that up and also allow the channel to be very conducive to beginners as well. Cool. So if you want to get into kayaking, it'd be a good time to do that this spring. So that's an example of the kind of thing we're doing. We're doing a lot of improvements on the inside of the building, improving our retail and food and beverage areas, and starting work on our new fire pit area, which will be really cool. What
goes into power washing something like this? Because it's huge.
It's huge. We have a giant, we've got a couple of different big compressors, and we go through, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of area to cover. Right. And it just our fine red dust gets into, gets on the walls, and we want to get rid of that, and it's just tedious. It takes time, but
I haven't been out there lately. Is it completely drained, or do you leave a little bit and kind of the water moving?
This year we left the water in, so we're power washing at the top. It doesn't, in the channels and then around the perimeter, and then we will do a combination of power washing and vacuuming. We have a big, call it the pond sucker, and we will be
appropriately named.
And we'll be cleaning that up and being very aggressive about that. There's some scuba involved as well, going down, and so we haven't really. We're have to add a little water because of evaporation and that kind of thing. But the water's still there. It's why we've been doing things over the winter like ice rescue training and things like that. So. I don't think it's something we have to drain every year, but we're going to kind of see how it goes this year. So.
Very cool. Lots going on out there at the Boathouse District. On that bike track.
Yeah, I would say the bike track, we've had a trails grant for the past 3 years, which has been great. We've added the pump track, which we're going to continues to get more popular. We continue to add elements around that area. We've added some skills elements, which are in the wooded area, which are the only ones of its kind in the area, and it's meant to be for kind of a short but very exciting mountain bike experience and something you can hone your skills on. Those are going in as we speak, and that's something that we're going to promote this spring.
Speaking of this spring, Red Bull, a name that's synonymous with some action adventure sports, they're going to have a qualifier coming through here.
Yeah, this is a brand new thing. They're very excited about it because of the rise of the pump track movement, so to speak, in the world. They're especially in Europe. They've been going in all over the place, and we were one of the leaders, and really one of the first in America to do an asphalt pump track. And so now they've made that a world championship. And it's going to be in Switzerland, and so we are going to be a qualifier for the United States, and that'll happen this May. So be open qualifier. So if you're inclined, you can get registered. And
interesting stuff. Yeah. All right, more information can be found on their website about everything we talk about today, riversportokc.org. The Olympics start later this week, and perhaps this is a good time to remind people just the significance that the Boathouse District and RIVERSPORT Adventures plays in the Olympics.
Yeah, we like to continue to really emphasize. I mean, if you drive from every direction in Oklahoma City towards downtown, you see the highway signs with the Olympic rings and the training site designation. it's very special that we have that recognition. There's not a lot of places that have that, and so when we approach an Olympic Games, even though it's the Winter Olympics, we feel very connected to that effort, and how we work with the U.S. Olympic Committee in advancing the Olympic movement. And so we have several athletes, continuing more, that are moving in all the time, that are looking towards pursuing their dream for Tokyo and beyond. One thing in particular, even what we're working with the U.S. Olympic Committee on, there'll be more to come on this real soon. In fact, they were contacting me from Pyeongchang about this very issue yesterday, about creating what we call a talent transfer event, kind of like an athletic combine for people that say, you know, do you have what it takes to be an Olympian? Maybe you don't even know what sport, but you just know you want to be an Olympian, and it's a combination of different drills that that we will do, that it will be open for people to try, and then it'll be kind of a competition, and you could get invited to go to Colorado Springs, to go through a special program there. There'll be a lot of media surrounding this. But the great thing about us specifically is, as an Olympic training site, there are people across Oklahoma that just don't know that they could be a world-class rower or a world-class kayaker, paddler. And coming through an event like this could showcase, you may have the height, you may not have the technique yet. We can teach you the technique. And there are certain Olympic sports that you can learn if you're athletic and you have the basic athletic background and body types and all of those, that we can teach you the skill. And so specifically when you have a place like ours. So we're going to be really focusing on that this spring with the U.S. Olympic Committee.
Nothing going on in Korea with the Olympics. They're emailing you.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's going to be this is going to be a very exciting Olympic Games on a lot of fronts. But it always is fun because we do it puts the Olympic movement front and center, and it's great to be a part of that. You
probably have a different perspective than most people when it comes to the Olympics, because you see what the men and women are doing right now.
Yeah.
Meaning they're training right now for Tokyo, for LA. Right here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and for them, it's not a very glorious thing, because they're out there, 6 in the morning or earlier, and days like today when it's super cold, they're out, and there's not a lot of fanfare surrounding that, and it's just every 4 years, and so we're trying to do more in Oklahoma City to put them in the spotlight because of the hard work, and they're not they got to figure out ways to make ends meet and live, and we try to do all we can to support that, from housing to athlete meals, but we need help with finding jobs for these athletes and just other support. And so we're doing more this year to through what we call Team OKC, to invite people into the Olympic movement to support their efforts, and we've got some new initiatives that are going to be coming forward on that here real soon as well.
Those are some of the things that a lot of people love about the Olympics, is the vignettes of the athletes that NBC will show throughout the duration of the Olympics of, hey, here's an athlete in Oklahoma City, for example. Well, here's a chance as we go through this for people to get engaged with these athletes and to support the effort.
Right. They're remarkable young men and women who are putting a lot on the line to pursue that dream, putting their lives on hold. And they all have fascinating stories. They all have unique stories, and so we want to do more to promote that here locally and get people behind it, because not every city has a chance to feel or to be as connected as we can be to the Olympic movement. So.
All right, so that's the chance you can help out with the athletes. Mike mentioned earlier, the frozen water rescue efforts there at the RIVERSPORT Rapids, the Whitewater Center. We should mention OKC Respond. That's another way people can help out with that initiative and these first responders who are doing training out there.
Yeah, talk about, these are other, these local heroes that we have that we don't want to take for granted all of what they do for us, and we're trying to do things to help them with their physical and mental fitness through programming in the Boathouse District, and providing new resources, excuse me, to improve their ability to do their job and basically quality of life and all of those things. And so one of the things that we've introduced is a program called with Exos, which is a sports performance program where we focus on functional fitness for these first responders, things that are specific that they can help with their day-to-day job duties as being a firefighter or a police officer, and very specific types of training. So we take that same high-performance approach that we do for our Olympic hopefuls, but we apply that to first responders, because and so it is a high-performance training for them, and so we've got that program just underway, and there's ways for folks to get behind that as well. I mean, as little as $25 to support the effort, or get involved in OKC Respond. All of that's on our website. And we are going to be doing some other things, like we have an event coming up in April that we've mentioned called High Water, and this is going to be a really spectacular new type of event that showcases the Whitewater Center and its unique attributes to be a place for swiftwater rescue training. But people will come in from really all over to Oklahoma City to learn about swiftwater rescue techniques and other rescue techniques, and utilizing our center, and that'll happen in April. So.
Good stuff. As you mentioned, more information again at riversportokc.org. One thing we should mention here in closing, on February 7th is National Women and Girl, if you will, in Sports Day. And this is something that you mentioned off the top, how people may not be aware of the opportunities. Perhaps they haven't been exposed to the sport of rowing, and perhaps this is a way for a female athlete to get a scholarship.
Absolutely. So we're going to be doing some things on that day to highlight opportunities for women to be involved. And we have a lot of camps coming up this summer, so there's ways to kind of get exposed to what we have to offer. But I will say specifically, it's really an education process for the state. It's getting everyone from high school counselors and athletic directors and parents, educated about this really unique opportunity that we have in our state. So your daughter may be a great swimmer or volleyball player, and maybe they're just, maybe they don't realize that there's this opportunity that can transfer into becoming a great rower that can then translate into college scholarships. So maybe you can't, there's a lot of competition for those scholarships in those other sports, but because in Oklahoma we have so much opportunity with rowing, we're wanting to get that word out about those opportunities for women. And there are opportunities for men as well, of course, but focusing on this really unique opportunity for female athletes. And so that's something we want to kind of get the word out. So.
That reminds me of athletes such as Wilt Chamberlain and Jim Brown. And perhaps athletes today, youngsters, be like, who are those two people?
Right.
Who are you talking about, Dave? But they were stars in basketball and football, but multi-skilled athletes who were also stars in other sports.
That's exactly right. And I was a swimmer in high school, then I became a rower in college. And I never knew in high school I was going to be a rower. But the fact of the matter is, if I did, I think that would have been great, because there's a lot of similar training techniques. They're endurance sports, and the idea of that what you've done in high school to learn about how to compete and the mental elements beyond the training aspects all can prepare you to be a great athlete in another sport, and it just so happens that other sport like rowing has a lot of collegiate scholarship opportunities here, and so that's just we just got to educate.
Some scholarship athletes, scholarship opportunities, and some travel opportunities. All right, enjoy the Olympics that come up. Keep the local athletes in mind that they are training for those summer games in Tokyo and beyond that in LA. More information on summer camps, scholarships, and events can be found online at riversportokc.org. Mike, good luck cleaning up with the power washing.
Yes.
And stay warm.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.